everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, my name's Em, a lover of all things planning and stationery, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 8 different ways you can use the monthly pages in your planner. I obviously pretty much just use Hobonichi with a few other planners thrown in there, so all the examples will be in Hobonichi, but most of these uses you can absolutely do in any planner format, any planner size really. But I'll just be showing examples of what I've personally done. So these are just 8 ways that I've used my monthly pages. There are lots more out there. I see book tracking a lot in the monthly pages. In fact, I see a lot of tracking in the monthly pages, and particularly the Hobonichi layouts. They do work really well with the graph paper for doing any kind of life tracking, you know, books, TV shows, etc. But these are just 8 different ways that I have personally used the monthly pages over the year. So hopefully if you've, got your eye on another planner, but you already have a planner and you're kind of thinking of ways to justify buying the new one, hopefully this will give you some ideas around how you can do that. And apologies in advance if I give you an idea of something you want to use a planner for and you now go out and buy another planner. I'm sorry. Okay, first up, let's talk about the obvious one, and that is actual planning. I thought it would be weird to not put this in the list, even though it is the obvious one, but did just want to show kind of a few different ways that I have planned in the monthly pages over the years. Everything from kind of sticker kits, these ones are from my shop, for example, to, purely a bit of pen planning, a bit of washi tape, a bit of direction. I do really like this layout, so this is something that I'm using this year in my weeks as well as this is last year's. Just a bit of colour coding for different plans, so pink is just a normal kind of event, green is fitness related, blue is an all-day event, for example. I really love this layout. I think it works particularly well in the weeks where space is at a bit of a premium, but in my cousin, because there was a lot more space, I could use stickers and make it look quite pretty, and I did enjoy using it in that way. But yeah, first one, get these one out of the way. Pure planning, birthdays, events, holidays, anything that you might need to kind of flick through in advance and know what you're doing when. The monthly pages is obviously perfect for that. Next up, we've got fitness planning. So this is something that I did for a couple of years in my weeks. I actually had weeks specifically for fitness, health, tracking, everything like that. If you've seen my week setup post for this year, or my video rather, which I will leave a link to, you'll know that I'm incorporating bits of it into my weeks, but it is kind of my main planner as well, just to try and, slim down the number of books that I'm writing in every day. But yeah, so this is just a few different ways that I did it. I quite like the colour coding thing, so you'll see I'm a bit of a fan of colour coding, and there's a few different ways that I've done it in the different planners over the years, so either highlighters or stickers, and basically there's just a colour corresponding to what kind of workout. If it's weights, what area was I working on, or was it a run, or other for maybe I did yoga, and there's different ways that I did it. This was pretty consistent in terms of number of reps or the time if it was a run. I then kind of added in this one steps, just so on those days where I maybe didn't work out, at least if I had tracked my steps and had a good steps day, I'd feel like I'd done something. As you can see in here, I did incorporate other bits at the time, kind of doing a bit of a sticker a day just to fill the page and make it look quite pretty. But I do really like the weeks as a bit of a fitness health planner. I think if I did ever go back to my cousin as a full-time planner, then I would probably still keep a weeks and just do it for health, fitness, etc., just because it is a really nice planner for it, and kind of filming this video has reminded me how much I enjoyed using my weeks for it. The one thing that I'm using my monthly pages in my cousin for this year, because it's not my main planner, is social media. The layout is ideal for just plotting out the Instagram posts I'll be uploading, YouTube videos, things like that. What I tend to do is write the plans in pencil and then go over in pen when they've actually gone live. Something that I'm doing at the moment is putting the actual list of images for Instagram and YouTube here, but in future months I might start writing them in here and kind of do a bit of a hybrid around some things I'll plan out to go live on certain days, and others where I just kind of have a day where I haven't necessarily planned in anything. I can have a look and see if I've got a photograph that I haven't uploaded yet, and I can just upload that and then write it in. But yeah, it's quite a lot of space for this, but it's nice to actually have a use for it. Otherwise, I think it would just be lying empty this year. And I didn't want to put my social media planning in my weeks because there just isn't enough space in the monthly pages for everything I would want to write in, including social media. And I do quite like planning out the month, particularly when it comes to videos, just making sure that I'm not, overlapping things or doing too much of the same content in one go, etc. So yeah, really liking this. If I make my cousin my main planner next year, I'll revisit how I do this. But again, there's so much space, I could probably still maintain this even if this was for normal planning. Next, we've got something that I haven't done a huge amount of. I've seen others, particularly Sterling Ink, do this really well in her monthly pages, but it's project planning. So particularly this works with the Hobonichi planners because they do have this sidebar. But essentially how I've used it in the past is kind of planned out each week what I need to do and then planned across here in terms of which specific day that I'm going to do. I did work in some social media planning in here as well because this was actually one year, it was my basically shop and blog planner. A couple of years ago I wanted to try just having everything to do with that in one place and just keep it all together. And yeah, I used this as a bit of a dashboard around what I needed to do each month, when I needed to film videos, when I needed to edit, etc, etc. I also used it as a way to log how many hours as well I'd spent on the shop, just so I could, start doing a few calculations around time in versus, income out. But yeah, this hasn't been fully developed. But I wanted to throw it in because I do really like particularly the format of these monthly pages for doing some project planning like that. It's just got the perfect layout for it. But yeah, check out Sterling Ink if you haven't seen her YouTube because she does a lot of this in her monthly planning and it looks really good and it looks really... I'm listing this as one, but this is kind of a combination of a few different ones, and this is something that I did during COVID because obviously wasn't a lot of plans going on during COVID when we were all at home. So I actually turned my monthly pages into a bit of a gratitude, highlight of the day, journaling kind of thing, and that's why I've kind of rolled everything up just into journaling. But there's loads of different ideas you could do with the monthly pages kind of in that arena, I guess. So yeah, a gratitude journal is something that I've tried a couple of times. It's not really my thing, but I know it works really well for a lot of people. I just like to do a bit of a, what happened today, what was good about today, take the opportunity to use up a few stickers because I have got way too many stickers and I am trying to use some of them up just so I don't feel like I'm hoarding them. But yeah, it's a nice kind of use for these pages, particularly in the cousin where you do have a bit of space to write a bit more about the day. I would probably struggle to do this in the weeks just because the boxes are so small, but I do like flicking back through these pages because they do look very nice, and it is nice to kind of have a look through, particularly during COVID when you look back and think, God, what did I do all day? Just have a quick look and go, oh, actually it wasn't so bad. Going back to the kind of health and fitness side of using the weeks, meal planning is something that I use the monthly pages for once. I found that it worked out really well, particularly in the weeks with all this vertical space to kind of plan out each meal. And then you've got the sidebar area for either a shopping list every week, or at one point I was using this as kind of my basics list. So this was everything that I bought every week without fail generally, because it was the things that I always just went through. Yeah, I've done this in the weekly pages before, I've done it in the monthly. It kind of works in either, but I just wanted to throw it in as another route. If you don't have a huge amount of plans, you could probably incorporate this into a normal monthly spread as well. Because if you're only planning 3 meals a day, that's only half the box in the weeks because they are so tall and thin. This is another one that I don't have an amazingly great example for, but I did want to talk through, and that's actually using a planner as a work planner. So particularly in the age of Outlook and Teams, everything is done digitally, and I know lots of people that do all their work notes in OneNote, for example. I am still a paper planner. I can't get away from that even at work. It just works better for me. When it comes to appointments and meetings, I do all that electronically because they move so often, but I still need a paper planner to plan out my tasks for the week and things like that. And I did find out initially that my monthly planning didn't happen because, like I say, all the appointments and things like that, they're kept in Outlook. What I did find the monthly page really handy for though is things like deadlines. And yeah, that you might, depending on your job, you might have none, you might have loads. So I work in retail, so there's a lot of deadlines around kind of range review dates and stock landing dates and things like that. So I did kind of put in things like this. Really good for putting in promotional dates so I can go back and review, you know, when did we do this promo. There's obviously a lot of space in this particular one to then kind of do a bit of a summary of the event. You know, how did it go? Did sales go up? Did sales go down? There's so much you can actually do with this, and I feel a bit annoyed that I did probably underuse my monthly pages for quite a long time before I really got into it. Finally, we are going to my last way that I've used the monthly pages before, and that's for financial planning. I've used it in kind of two different ways, but you could definitely combine them, and I think at some point I may look to doing that, because actually looking back through this, I'm like, actually this worked really well, why am I not doing it? And how I've done it previously in the past is use the sidebar to basically write in my income, my budget, and then at the end of the month, just written in, you know, where did I come in each kind of, because I have 4 main categories that I did back then. And this is obviously very, very old, hence why I'm happy to show it. And yeah, it was just good to have kind of that location to, you know, see the whole month, particularly when planning a budget. You know, I can look at this month and go, okay, I've got trips, I've got holidays, so I know that my budget will need to be tweaked. Whereas, you know, months where I've not got a huge amount planned, I might know that I can spend a little bit less on petrol, for example, because I'm not driving loads of places. So it was nice to have it on this kind of overview page. And then last year I also used, so this was kind of my planning pages that I mentioned earlier, but I also wrote in the bills. And this helped in 2 ways. Number one, just so I knew what was going out and when, and also when to pay things. Most things were in direct debit, but there were a couple that I did need to pay. But then it also helped in doing the budget planning. So I filled this in kind of in advance for most of the year. If I knew that, you know, a bill was going to be recurring for at least a set amount of times, like I knew that there wasn't going to be a price rise or things like that, I'd write it in. And then when I came to do my budget, I could just lay this out and I'd see everything in front of me. This was really helpful because I didn't get paid on the same time every month. So for the past couple of jobs that I've had, I've been paid either every 4 weeks or the last Friday of a month. In theory, that works fine, except some months you end up paying 2 lots of rent. Some months you end up paying no lots of rent. And having it out here like this when planning my budget just helped me really visualize, okay, so this is what I know I've got coming out, and it will help me tweak my budget so I'm not getting to that second rent payment 2 days before payday and going, oh my God, where's all my money gone? So yeah, this is another thing that actually I would quite like to somehow get back into the monthly pages in a full way. At the moment I put it in the notes pages, which is fine, but I would quite like to have something in here as a bit of a nod to, okay, how am I doing on my budget, or helping me plan out my budget for the month. So that was 8 different ways that you can use the monthly pages of your planner. I hope you found this really useful. I will drop some links in the description for any videos that I may have mentioned, and I'll try and kind of drop some links to any products that you may want to kind of get a hold of, or stickers. If there is something that you saw that I didn't mention, just drop me a comment and I'll happily point you in the right direction. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.